Good day, Deep and Word family. Welcome to day 116 of our Bible study review. Today we're opening up the book of Isaiah, and we see that Isaiah showed up at the very end of 2 Kings. Well, we're going to just dive into this story of this prophet who was prophesying for 50 to 60 years, and he was warning the southern kingdom of Judah about the coming judgment. But we also see that he prophesies of a time of healing, the millennial reign of Messiah. So the chapter review for today, it's going to be 1 through 4. And we see as we open up chapter 1, Isaiah, he has this vision of judgment that's coming to the southern territory of Judah, right? The southern part of the kingdom. We see that the northern kingdom has already been judged. They're already scattered into Assyria, and then the Assyrians scatter them into the other parts of the world, right? So now we're seeing that he's prophesying of the judgment of Judah because they have fallen away so far from the truth. And throughout chapter 1, we see he says, hey, the ox knows its owner. All of creation knows the owner except for the ones who bear my image and the ones who have my covenant. So he opens up with calling the heavens and the earth to witness what he is about to say. He has a vision. He's witnessing against the image bearers of their Elohim, and they have his word, his covenant, but they do not know him anymore. Knowing in Hebrew is a close covenant word, and we see it in the very beginning when Adam knew his wife, right? He became one with her. And this is essentially the same type of language. He's saying, you don't know me anymore. You have departed from me in my ways, and you have become separate. He calls Israel a prostitute. You have become a prostitute. And throughout chapter 1, we see that judgment is pronounced. He says, your city will be desolate. You will become like a lonely tent in a huge city. And he calls them a city of Sodom and Gomorrah. And as Isaiah calls them a city of Sodom, he tells them, listen up, you rulers of Sodom, you rulers of unrighteousness, basically. You have become like the pagans. He says, what are these festivals and new moons and these Sabbaths to me? He goes, I detest them. You come before me with empty sacrifices because you yourself, you are defiled. You have sacrificed your children to Moloch. You have not guarded my commands. You have prostituted yourself and you've put your trust in these other nations. And he is essentially saying, I'm cutting you off. I'm done. I don't want any more of these empty sacrifices. I will not hear your prayers anymore. You've shed innocent blood. You've shed so much blood that it has basically covered the parameters of the whole southern territory. That innocent blood is crying out to me. I'm done. I'm through with you, Judah. But at the end of chapter 1, you start to see this transition, right? He talks about how they've defiled themselves and they have fallen away. But then Isaiah starts to prophesy of a time where he is going to cleanse his people, take away all the impurities from them. And then we see more of this as we start to walk into chapter 2. Chapter 2 is heavy on the millennial reign of Messiah. And this is the pattern that we're going to see throughout these 4 chapters. We're going to see judgment and then a time of restoration. Judgment, restoration. You'll see the back and forth of this message. So let's start to read what chapter 2 says about this millennial reign, about this time of restoration, and how Isaiah is prophesying about their soon to come desolation, right? How because of their wickedness, this place is not going to be this, highly sought after, respected place anymore. But then he prophesies of a future time where this will be the most glorious place upon the earth. So let's read verses 1 through 4 of chapter 2. This is what it says. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the last days, the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established on the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. Many people shall go and say, come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. He shall judge among the nations, and he shall rebuke many peoples, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift sword against nation, nor shall they learn war anymore. So we see there's a future time. It's called the millennial reign of Christ, or the millennial reign of Messiah. All of the nations will come up and they will have to hear the law. The law. That's right. That's why the law is not done away with, right? The law, we see it in the beginning, we see it in the millennial reign, but yet people are teaching that it's done away with now. I'm telling y'all, that's absolute trash. Go ahead and take the trash out because that's not true, okay? So Messiah is going to be teaching the law on top of Mount Zion, and this will be the feast that he teaches it. It's the Feast of Tabernacles. Everyone will have to come up and make a pilgrimage, right? That's one of the feasts that you have to make a pilgrimage for, is the Feast of Tabernacles, or in Hebrew, it's called Sukkot. So everyone is going to come up. Everyone's going to hear of the ways. We're going to hear the law, right? And this is going to be a great time of peace. We're going to see that the instruments that were used for war are now going to be used as instruments for farming. Yeah, this is going to be a time of great restoration. We are going to be farming. We're not going to learn the ways of war. We're going to learn the ways of peace. We're going to be, eating from the work of our hands, right? This is the millennial reign, y'all. And then we see in the latter part of chapter 2, we see, the day of Yahuwah, right? Most people call it the day of the Lord. And we see that he is going to humble every proud man, every place that people place their trust in that is not in Yahuwah. It comes down low. The highest place will be Mount Zion. The highest respectable place will be Jerusalem, because that's where our king will sit. So I want you to see that this end of chapter 2, it mirrors Revelation chapter 6. So let me just read a few lines from this chapter, and then I'll show you the mirror in Revelation. Let's read from verse 19 of chapter 2 first. They shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth, from the fear of Yahuwah and from the glory of his majesty, when he shall arise and shake the earth mightily. Now let's read from chapter 6 of Revelation, verses 15 through 17. Then the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the commanding officers and the strong and everyone, slave and free, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountain. They said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath has come. Who is able to withstand it? And the answer is no one. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, most people call him Jesus, he's Lord. He is Lord. And when he brings his kingdom, everything else has to go. Everything else has to go. And those unrighteous men will be exiled. Just like Judah is about to be exiled from the land of Jerusalem and into Babylon, unrighteous men, wickedness will be exiled from the earth. He's not playing at all. Then we walk into chapter 3, and Isaiah goes back to speaking to Judah, Jerusalem, and how, they're not even trying to hide their sin anymore. They are lifted up in pride, and their trust is in their gold, their silver. And he says, I'm going to take away your storehouse. I'm going to take away your bread. You are going to starve. And he says, you will no longer have these beautiful garments. He goes, I will take away your belts, and I will give you ropes instead. And instead of you having lovely skirts, he says, your clothes will be sackcloth. You will be humbled to the greatest degree. And why is this? Because they don't have a conscience about sin anymore. They're not even hiding it. It's out in the open. Don't you see that is a mirror of America? America trusts in their riches. They trust in the fact that they have been this honored and respected nation for so long, but this nation has become so wicked, and they're not even hiding or concealing the sin anymore. It's out in the open. So I just want you to see the modern day application for this, and soon every nation that models that of Babylon, every nation that models that of Sodom and Gomorrah, the judgment will be the same. Everyone in that nation who agrees with unrighteousness will be humbled, and what they trusted in before will be stripped from them. And then chapter 4 goes back to this glorious time of restoration, this, branch of Jesse, what he's going to do and how he's going to bring about a more glorious time. So let's start reading from verse 2, because chapter 4 is very short and sweet and to the point. In that day, the branch of Yahuwah shall be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for those of Israel who have escaped. He who is left in Zion and he who remains in Jerusalem shall be called holy. even everyone who is written among the living in Jerusalem. When Yahuwah has washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion and has purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst by the spirit of justice and by the spirit of burning, then Yahuwah will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud of smoke by day and shining of flaming fire by night. Doesn't that sound familiar to when the children of Israel were escaping Egypt? It says this will be present during the millennial reign. Let's continue reading. For over all the glory shall be a covering. There shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for shelter from the storm and from rain. So these chapters focus on judgment and restoration. We see that they're about to enter into a place where they are going to have scarcity. It is not going to be pretty. They're going to be exiled. But then they have this hope of a future of this millennial kingdom where restoration upon the whole earth. We see that there's a glimpse of the Garden of Eden coming back to the earth. And that's only brought by our King, our Lord, the Savior of our souls. That is Yeshua HaMashiach. I truly hope that you have enjoyed today's Bible study review because it prophesies of a better time, the millennial reign of Messiah, which is my most dominant thought. I think about it with every passing day, and that's what helps me cope with what I see before my eyes in the here and now. And hopefully it does the same for you as well. Deep and More family, that is all that I have for you today. Until tomorrow, Yah bless.